Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you for the time. We are from group 6. Today we will present our presentation. The topic is political parties and election. Before we go to the main topic, let me give some introduction about this topic. Next slide, please. In the life of the state, surely we are familiar with politic terms. Even politics can be one aspect of the life of the state, and of course, in playing politics, it is inseparable from the name of political parties, and political parties are an important part of the running politics. As we know that European Union is perhaps the largest institution in the world until today, which in carry out the mechanism they definitely need a lot of people for institution, and to have it, they will carry out one form of government, namely democracy. In democracy, there is an election to have a leader or someone who carry out such a policy, and in making an election, someone usually needs political party, and well, this is where the important function of political party. The political party are an essential component of modern democracy, and as long as they structure political life and provide key personnel to government, they are often considered a political institution, which is the main organization nominating candidates for public office and participating in election. If you know, in the European Union has 7 institutions. There is the European Parliament, the Council of the European Union, the European Commission, the European Council, the European Central Bank, the European Court of Justice, and the European Court of Audit. And this chapter discusses about political parties and election, a subject that has been mentioned at various points in the text, but has not been studied in a more deep and systematic manner. Therefore, in the following slide, or in the following part, we will explain the main discussion of this part.
Hello, my name is Rizky Dayat. My student ID number was 201905100025. I'm from the group QA. Today I would like to explain about the function political parties and the parties family in European. Okay, the first one I will explain about the function political parties. The key actors in the democratic electoral system are political parties, play several important roles in modern democratics. Making politics as we know is today as the unthinkable. Without them, political parties emerged with the expansion of suffrage and the introduction of democratic politics. But their main function is to participate in elections and nominate their candidates for the public office. Okay, the second one I will explain about the parties family in Europeans. There are hundreds of political parties in Europe, but none of them are exactly alike. Historically, there is 2 sides, the left and the right, have been defined of the basis of multiple social or political divisions that gain political interest and become political markers defining of the politics and the parties. This is the several political parties inside the European, because I can't explain all of them. I will explain about maybe seven parties. The first one was the Communist parties. The Communist parties occupied the far left spectrum. And the second one is Green Party. Why it's named Green Parties? Because the Green Parties was focused on the environmental protection, like their protection the jungle, the woods, the lake, the sea, the river, and the pollution in their territorial country. The third one is the Social Democratic Party. Social Democratic Party, sorry. The largest political parties on the left is the Social Democratic Party. The fourth one was liberal. Liberal is the politic definition of liberal as an example of how the same English words can have different meanings on different sides of the Atlantic Oceans. The fifth one was Christian Democrats. The center-right portion of the political spectrum in European is represented by two parties. Christian Democratic was one of them. Christian Democratic have become the dominant political party on the right European as like Germany, Netherlands, Austria, Malta, Switzerland, and also Belgium. The sixth one, it's named a conservative. Although it's other right parties, this is other right parties included the right side. In European families named conservative, these parties advocate of traditional values and attract more religious voters, but the conservative parties does not have a religion label. The last one but not least was regional parties and ethnic minority parties. Beyond the left and the right framework, one can also name the parties that try to attract voters in certain areas, mostly from the minority ethnic, like for example the SNP or the Scottish National Party and the Lega Nord Italy.
Next, I will explain about campaign and voter turnout. Most European countries hold elections in irregular, predictable cycles like the US or Mexico. As Prime Minister may see an advantage in calling for early elections. Thus, even if there is no fixed term of 4 or 6 years, they cannot serve indefinitely without an election. The maximum time between elections in most European countries is 40 years, such as in Germany, Spain, Sweden, and Poland, or 5 years in France and Italy. Apart from electing members of the central, regional, and local government, Europeans can also participate in the referendum. The referendum provides the term directly, which allows citizens to vote directly on policy questions. The powerful bloc in European Parliament, namely center-left and left, have lost their combined majority support after increasing support for liberals, Green and nationalists. The center-right European People's Party is still the largest bloc and is expected to form a pro-EU coalition. On the other hand, the Liberals and Greens success in increasing the number of support, while the Nationalists were expected to win in Italy and France. The participation rate in European elections is the highest in 20 years. The population has found support in a number of countries, but as expected, they are still experiencing a significant drop in support In Britain, the newly formed Brexit Party claimed a major victory, as well as a strong performance from the Liberal Democrats amid the tough defeats suffered by the Conservative and Labour parties. Anal- Analysts, analysts argue that an independent European People Party or APP is likely to form a grand coalition with the Socialist and Democratic blocs, with the support of the Liberal and Green parties. The European Parliament is tasked with helping to draft a bill for the EU, and the outcome will play a major role in who serves on the European Commission as executive of the bloc. Europe holds elections that are expected to weaken traditional pro-EU parties and strengthen French nationalists in the European Parliament, placing the potential for collective action in economic and foreign policy. Superior right-wing populists have been in two of the four main member states, Italy and Britain, and possibly France, rocking the pro-union campaign championed by President Emmanuel Macron. However, election results in several countries that held elections show pro-EU parties are doing well. The Dutch Labour Party appears to have won the most votes, aided by the presence of the EU's future socialist leader, the current EU executive vice chairman, Frans Timmermans. In the Netherlands, pro-unity parties gained 70% of the vote, rose 3 points in the last European Parliament election in 2014, and left anti-immigration party Thierry Baudet fourth with 11%. The number of Dutch voters casting their votes is also greater than the previous election, although only 41%, reinforcing EU hopes of reversing a 14-year trend of voter decline, which critics call a democratic deficit, undermines the legitimacy of EU lawmaking. However, not all European countries experience a significant decline in participation. Regarding who vote, older and more educated citizens tend to vote more at a higher number. The gender gap that emerged in the 1950s has now closed, with recent data showing no significant difference in turnout between men and women. And the problem is that during political campaign, parties find ways to get their message across. Democration, social media, public forums, banners, brochure, and gifts like t-shirts, balloons, chocolate, and even free yogurt drink with party labels. Some countries do over party state funding, usually linked to their past electoral performance, which of course benefits more established parties. Most countries limit spending on parties or candidates and or the number of individuals who can contribute to the campaigns. Although law enforcement is often a problem, not only in new democracy in post-communist Europe. 42, but also in Italy, France, Germany, and the UK, all of who whom were hit by massive campaign finance scandal in the 1990s and 20s. And while reliable data is often hard to come by, most would argue that campaign spending in Europe as a whole is significantly less than in the US. For example, one study included that in 2001, a total of $1.65 was spent per vote in British election compared to $13.15 spent in 2000. And campaign costs for Christian Democrats range between €2,000 and €3 million compared to a single US Senate seat costing more than $10 million or Obama's 2012 re-election campaign costing more than $700 million, not including contribution from political action committee, which are illegal in Germany and much of Europe.
Hello, my name is Matahari Amaul Haq, and today I will present to you about the latest European elections. So, European elections is a process where every member of the European Union countries is voting their members for the European Parliament. This process takes place every 5 years, and the latest one is happened in 2019. These elections is electing about 751 members of the European Parliament, but this is before Brexit. After Brexit, this number later reduced to 705. These seats later reserved for the future European Union enlargement, and the remaining is redistributed among the underrepresented members in the European Parliament. So, the results of the European elections is the EPP, or European People Party, won the most seats with 183 seats or 24.23%, following with Social Democrats with 154 seats or 20.51%. Third place is occupied the Renew Europe group with 108 seats or 14.38% of seats. The Greens, or the EFA, have 74 seats or 9.85% of seats. The ID, or Identity and Democratic Group, won 73 seats or 9.73% of seats. The ECR, or European Conservative and Reformist, won 62 seats or 8.26%, while the GUE, or NGL, won the least seats with 41 seats or 5.46% of seats. The non-attached members of the parliament have 57 seats or 7.59% of seats. According to Parliament Rules of Procedures, the political group must have at least 25 members elected in 7-member countries in order to be eligible in the European Parliament.
Okay guys, now we're on the last part of this presentation. We have a conclusion, that is, the European Union is the large institution in which there are development countries that fill it. From the above discussion, we can conclude that the role of political parties in the European Union is very important. Because who is it? Then he who will bring the European Union to be better or not only affect the European Union but also for the world. Because the European Union also maintains the stability of world life, starting from economic policy and world politics. The European Union enters 2019 full of political problems. Election results in Germany, French, and Italy highlight the weakness of traditional leaders and their policy response. Dissatisfaction in the general election brought Eurosceptics to power. A serious recession in the European Union will add to the antipathy held by many traditional political parties. If the street riot in Paris could force the president of France to step down, if an anti-immigration party was the fastest growing political force in Germany, the European Union itself is not immune. If the global economic stumble and drags the European Union into recession, or if one of them comes from the United Kingdom or other source, the political consequence for European could be more dangerous than more economic problem. Maybe that's enough that we can explain today. Thank you for your attention, and wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.